G'day and welcome back to my hobby room. Oh, look at the Warspite. We haven't done anything, you say? Well, actually, we have. We have done a lot. Look closely at that deck. Can you see that deck? Let me pull it up for you. Look how wonderful that deck is. So what I'm going to do in this video is I will show you how I use those pigments to create that deck. And I've also got some interesting stuff to show you here, the blue things. We can use 3D printing to improve the model. Does that sound interesting? I hope so. Great. Roll the music. So this is where I left the Warspite last time. We had completed the camo scheme, and that's looking quite nice. And I'd done a bit of a mock-up with the superstructure and sort of added the turrets that were out of the kit. Now, I don't like those turrets much. And I don't like these boats much. There's not much detail in them. So I 3D printed this. And it sort of looks like a kraken has eaten a half-sucked Warspite, doesn't it? But you see there are boats. And this is the thing I've found for less than a shekel, would you believe, an entire 3D file of the Warspite that I then scaled to the exact same size that I have mine and then printed it out. Now these are just these krakeny things. That's actually supports. That's what allows you to print it. So I'm going to pull those supports off, and I'm going to pull off some of these parts on here and clean them up and see if they're better. I mean, I can already see there's a lot more detail in those boats. So I'm hoping that I can dismember those boats from this schmozzle, and they might look a lot nicer on here. The other thing I want to do is, well, this deck. It's all very good, but it's just far too pretty. It should look like the photo that they supply. It should look a bit more weathered and worn and a bit sort of patchy. I mean, not all the planks should be exactly the same colour. So, the first job I'm going to do is I'm going to dismantle all this, get those wood deck veneer pieces off because they're only dry fit there. And we're going to add some weathering effects to those. Then we'll weather the hull, and then I'll get into some boats and hopefully some turrets. The little deck veneer pieces are now off the model, and there's only 3 of them. And usually, to do what I'm going to do next, when I cut these out and showed you, how to do all that in a previous video, there was extra bits on the sheet. And they're very useful because that's what you do your testing on. But somehow in the years between, I have lost those bits. But there is a solution, because there's this little section here, right, which is in there, which will never really be seen. And that's where the aircraft sit. So I can use that little section there to do some testing first. And the reason you want to test is I'm going to be staining this, and I want to see, how far can I take it? How much should I use? Every piece of wood veneer reacts a little bit differently. I think I know the levels I need, but you're never quite sure. And the last thing you want to do is cock the whole thing up, because the trouble with wood is it's very absorbent and it's not going to be very forgiving. Usually once it's there, it's there. You can, though, use these, which are liquid pigments. And they come with, this is from Life Colour, and they come with a remover. Right, so this is a remover. So with a bit of luck, you can use this to take things off. But again, it is wood, right? It is real wood, so it will soak up some stuff. And the trick I've used in the past is, if it looks all a bit too dark, or if you just want to homogenise it, I put a layer of this dried salt on, which is essentially just a very, very light white wash. So I've got a dark one that's called Wood Deck Darkener. Yep. And I've got a light one called, guess what it's called? Yep, it is a Wood Deck Shadow. Oh, you thought it was going to be Wood Deck Lightener. No, so I've got a Shadow and a Darkener. Oh, put your teeth in, Harry. All right, so those normally I would use the side of a plastic hull of my, plastic sailing ships to make them look like wood. I'm going to try these now on wood veneer and see what effect I get. It should be pretty similar to what I've used to in the past. Now, you could use enamels, and you could use other kind of acrylic washes, and you could use all kinds of things. But I'm going to use these. The technique will be the same, and every time you need to test. So, let's get to the testicles. Testing them. Now you need a fairly fine brush for this. 1/600 scale, I haven't really done this trick that fine. It's really fine because, I mean, those planks are tiny, they're less than a millimetre. So to get this effect, well, we'll see how we go. I think it's going to be more of a sort of a bit of a random sort of decoloration. Now you do get some coloration in these wood veneer strips, but the trouble is it's sort of continuous all the way through. Like there'll be a dark bit and it goes all the way through, and that's kind of ridiculous because there's no way on a real ship you would have dark planks joined to dark planks joined to dark planks all lined up across the ship. That doesn't happen. I mean, there's dark planks and light planks and what have you. So what you want is a sort of a stagger effect and things happening. So that's what we're going to try and do, and this is the finest brush I've got. This is a 4, right, 40, and it gets a lot of use, as you can see. So we'll see how we go. Now, first thing is I'm going to mix an intermediate colour because I've got that Wood Deck Shadower, which is sort of a light yellow colour, and then I've got the Wood Deck Dark now, it's a bit dark. So I'm going to make up one in between. And obviously you should put the light colour in first so that you're digging the light brush into the dark one, not the other way around, but I've got a sort of colour that hopefully is intermediate, so we'll give it a try. So first off, we'll try our lightest one and let's see how that affects our planks. Right, so it still has quite a dark effect, doesn't it? Yeah. So let's go for our intermediate one that I've just mixed. We'll see what that's like. Well, that's definitely a bit darker, isn't it? Okay. And then we'll go for the dark one to see how dark it is. Now the trick here is probably just stay in the liquid part, try not to get down to the pigment, because I know the pigment is actually darker, which is how I do the tricks. Well, that's a lot darker, isn't it? So there we go, there's our colours. And it's a bit hard for me to actually paint out individual planks, as you can see. So I have a trick, we'll get around that. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to try and use the remover and smooth that out. So I'll need a big flat brush to do that. So here's my remover, it's essentially just an alcohol. So you don't need much of it, just a little bit. So let's see what happens when I wash that out. How much does it wash out? Well, there's some effect there. That part there really took to it. So that was the dark one. The dark one, well, with the first brush stroke, but the other one seemed to go. The mixed one, interesting, hangs on. But they do lighten out. Now, that's starting to look better. So I think you can see already it's not a good job because I was working under adverse conditions with a bloody, iPhone in my face, but that has discoloured the planks. My mixed one is fairly good, and the light one actually comes out darker than you think. I think I had too much pigment on it. So I'm going to try on this side. I'll try with a lighter touch and see what happens. Although before I do that, let's put the little wash on. This is the salty wash. Just pop that on there and let it do its thing. It takes a while. So smoke if you got them. Yeah, that's pretty dry now. You can see I'm starting to get a bit of an effect. It needs to be a bit straighter on the planks there, Harry, but it doesn't matter. And I probably need, them to be not all together, like I've got the too dark and too light together. You need to stagger them round. But that is breaking things up. And as has happened in the past is when you run the wash along the planks, they kind of spills to the edge of the little cuts that Artwox has already done. So they actually usually fill the plank shape, which is exactly what you want. So I'll tell you what, I'm going to do this one now, and I'll do it a bit more intentionally, putting the stagger in. And also take note that if it's a dark run, I won't put the dark shading on, because that's what's happened over here in the dark areas, is where the they've gone really dark. So I'll put my darker one on the lighter areas and my lighter one on the darker areas, stagger all through, see what we end up with. Alright, I've been playing around and I've been having a lot of fun actually with this, and I even spruced up the bottom one, the first one we did. This piece we haven't done anything to. This is what I've been doing. Now you notice I've darkened around the edges. I've used the darkener. I found just put that on without using any sort of washing it off or using the salt, because Artwox tries to do this by adding extra lines around the edges, because the edges will always be darker because there's usually superstructure there, that sort of thing. Anyway, you know it's going to butt up against the superstructure or bulkhead. A little bit of darkness can make it look really good. It's like doing a wash later on, but you won't do a wash later on because this is it. This is what goes on. But my differentiation in planks is quite pronounced. I mean, if you have a look over here, so that all you've got is the big long stripes all the way through. But these ones, even though it's a short area, there's light planks, there's dark planks, there's intermediate planks. It all breaks up. So if that's all over, it should look really good. All right, let me get on with that and see what sort of result I get. Stage 1 is done. All the colours are down. I haven't put a lot of the dark plank on. I've just done the edges. So I've predominantly done the mixed colour that I made and the shadower. So now we're going to hit it with the remover, try and soften it a bit, and then we'll put a bit of whitewash on. So that should take the urgency off it. Because but you can see how strikingly different it is. All the shadows and everything are going to make this really stand out. So let's hit the remover and watch it dramatically change. Well, I've given those pieces about an hour or so to dry and they are looking quite good. There's a difference. I did this one yesterday and I did those today, so there's a slight difference in coloration. I ended up re-adding a bit of a salt layer there, so I'll get those two to match, because later on they sort of don't. But it doesn't matter, they'll be far enough apart visually on the ship so you won't notice it. The back area all fits and all matches, so look, I am ready to go. So what we need to do now is, this part needs to go on there, okay? And we're going to remove the backing plastic. That's been on the whole time. The whole time I've been painting these, messing around, drying, fitting, I have left that little backing strip on there. Now to get it to stick, you can just pop it on. It'll usually stick straight away, especially as I have primed the surface, which really helps. That's a bit of a top tip, is make sure your area has been primed, because it gives it something sort of etched to stick to. But also, you may want some wriggle room, because you don't want to go, oh no, it's stuck and it's all wobbly and that's pretty bloody buggered up. You don't want that. So you use an old sign writing trick of either some window washer, or in this case, a little bit of white glue. This is my trick. I use a little bit of white glue in some water. Right, that's PVA white glue. I use Sally's. Where's the bottle? Everyone always asks, right? So Sally's Aqua here, that's what I use. It's very good. If you've got a thicker one, you might need more water, but you sort of end up with a bit of a, well, it's the old milk trick. It's got to be sort of milky. So with that, I'll then slop this whole area. And this will do two things. One, it gives us some slide. So it gives us a little bit of wriggle room to slide. And two, it actually helps stick it down. Because although, yes, it is already self-adhesive, believe you me, they sometimes don't stick so well in the corners. This method solves that problem. So I find a knife is the best thing to lift up the plastic layer with. Be very careful, because you do not want to wreck the veneer. There we go, all the painting and everything has made it a bit difficult. There we go. This one's fairly easy because it's small. When they're bigger, they're a lot harder. But you need to move fairly quickly once you've got your mixture down. So popping it in, trying to match up with any holes or anything that's there. And of course that one's a fairly easy one. But we do have a little bit of wriggle room. You can't quite see it, but that actually will move. Although with all the bits there. Now, we'll now need a tissue to clean up any spillage. Shouldn't be a real problem here, because below there, that's another deck. And check it is sitting on all the edges. If you do get any lift, then you can use a slightly stronger solution, probably 2 parts glue to 1 part water for me, and then you can slide that under, press down and put a weight on there, and you can get it. You don't want it to be too wet, because obviously then you might mess up any of your planking discoloration. So there's that one. We'll do the back one, which is a little harder. So we should now be able to peel that off. So I didn't cut my nails today. I've left some fingernails on. Yeah, don't cut your nails. There's a top tip. When you do something like this, you will need fingernails. So if you've gone and cut all your nails, you'll have to go and find a person in the house with fingernails. In the old days, that'd be your girlfriend. But these days, who knows? Somebody will have fingernails. A guitar player. Yeah, if you've got a guitar player in the house, they will use it. And you don't want bass cares. All right, so this one is a bit bigger. We'll start again here, because it has to fit exactly. All right. And it's got things it's got to pop on. Look at that. And unlike before when I was doing the demos, it would sit badly amongst all the greebles on the deck. This time, of course, there's no plastic in the way, because before there were bits of plastic in the way. It's a chopper. There's a chopper flying over. Oh dear, that usually means there's been a car crash. When we have a chopper, it means they've had to go down the hill. So pay attention. We've still got chopper. Still got chopper. So pay attention to any little areas like here, and make sure that you get the cat's hairs out. Yep. And that might require some glue later on. Knife's probably not the best thing to do with, although as long as I'm careful. Alright, so that's fine. All the rest of this is sitting nice and flush. Check it all the way around. You don't want any air bubbles. There shouldn't be. The beauty is doing it here with the water and the glue, it kind of thuck the sucker right into place. There we go. So that's actually in, and look at the beautiful planking effect we've got now. So much better than how it was before. It was just straight planks. All right, let me get on and I'll finish this. There is the final effect of our decks. And if you didn't know that I'd done it, you may not notice it. That's exactly what we're trying to do here. It should not be that obvious. You should just look at it and go, yeah, it's a wood deck, and not realise unless you actually look very closely and realise, oh, he's painted out the planks. Oh, that's clever, or whatever. The thing is, it just needs to look interesting and close to the real thing. It's probably a bit more exaggerated than the real thing. Although, I'll tell you what, these ship decks do get pretty bloody grubby, and I have seen photos of the Warspite totally grubbed up after it's been out at sea for quite a while in service. So, ships are all stages, all things, clean, dirty. You can do all kinds of stuff with them. Nothing is wrong. Everything is up to your judgment, your interpretation, and your whim. Now, I did try the blue plastic turrets. They didn't quite print as well as I'd hoped. And I think the reason is I had printed them hollow. See, they're all sort of honeycombed out there. The bees have been in there, right? So if I printed them more solid, they might be better. There's a previous print that I had, and I've also got the boats on here. And actually, these boats look better because they didn't have the great big Kraken arms, right? These boats don't look too bad at all. I'm quite happy with those. But when I had a look back here, I went, oh, those ones are cleaner. And the reason is they didn't have the supports on. So what I might do is isolate just that section from the whole model, because you can do that in the CAD program. And in both cases, I'll print them solid, so there's no honeycomb fill. So that'll keep the bees out. No, hopefully that should make them a little nicer. But they are better shaped, and they're certainly better proportioned and more in scale than the ones Airfix supplies. So I will pursue that in the next video, because we've kind of run out of time here. Yes, I got so excited we're getting wood. That happens when you get wood, time just disappears. All right, button, but you know the buttons drill. Buttons, yeah. Apparently the algorithm is happy when you hit buttons. Yeah, exactly. And if you really want to help me out, bang, buy me a curry. That'd be really good. I could do with a curry. It's been a bit of a week. It has been a bit of a week. We're going to do, like we did the little planky things, we're actually going to do a whole lot of stripes down the side, which is weathering and washing from all the portholes. Did that back on the grass spray. It makes it look really good. Breaks up the hole, makes it interesting. And there's also some dark navy grey, right? Admiralty dark grey. That has to go on little surfaces here and there and everywhere. So there's little bits to do, lots to have fun with, and lots to look forward to. So I hope we'll see you next time. So, that's it. It's goodbye from Australia, and it's hooroo from Harry Houdini. What's that, Baz? Don't. It's a little blue boat. Don't chew on that, Baz, on the raw. Yeah, and that's Kraken. No, the Kraken's a fish. I know a Kraken's it's a fish, but you can't eat it. Put that down!